All right, it's 5:30 somewhere, so go ahead and call this to order. Let's see, we got roll call covered. Minutes, I guess, if I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last month unless there's some changes.
I would move to approve the minutes from last month.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, I'm going to shift a couple of things around here. I'll note that we have an additional business item that's not on your agenda. Item 4D is in Delta. That's the United Savings. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take, we're gonna go ahead and take the public hearing 3A, and then we'll jump to 4D, and then we'll continue down as written, unless there are any objections from anyone on the commission. All right, we'll go ahead and start with 3A. Call to order a public hearing to give consideration to a non-conforming use expansion permit to allow construction of a second-story addition to a home with a 1-foot side yard setback at 222 Willow Street East. Larry?
Yes, the request has been made by Amy Ingberg to enlarge a non-conforming use by adding a second-story addition to a home at 222 Willow Street East. The current home is non-conforming because it has a 1-foot side yard setback on the east side. Consideration should be given to the following findings. First, the proposed expansion is a reasonable use of the property as it will improve the aesthetics of the property and will not cause adverse impacts to traffic, noise, or parking. 2, the expansion will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood as it will allow a 2-story home which is common in the area. Staff recommends approval of the non-conforming use expansion permit to allow construction of a second-story addition to this home.
All right. Thank you, Larry. At this point, I'll open it up for public comment if you'd like to come and address the commission at all. Okay. And no one else for any comments? All right. Go ahead and close the public hearing and I'll open it up to the commission for discussion. Or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as presented and with the conditions stated.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the non-conforming use expansion permit as recommended by the staff with, I'm assuming with any, with their all of their things. I can't say the words tonight. Findings. Sorry, it's been a long day. I apologize. All right, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, thanks. Let's go ahead and jump down to 4D. United, is it United Community Savings Bank? Not United?
United Savings Credit Union.
Oh, I was close. United Savings, I was close in some alternate universe.
Okay. Last month, we approved a variance for United Savings Credit, and they asked for relief on the payment of the parking fee and offered to provide an easement for the Boys and Girls Club to utilize their parking for different events. Apparently, they didn't clear that with their attorney before they did so, and so their attorney is now advising them to pay the fee and forget the parking variance. So they are requesting that they be allowed to have the variance with the 10 parking spaces, but they would pay the entire $25,000 parking fee and not provide the easement. And staff is recommending approval, and I think it makes sense for them and for everybody. They did indicate in their letter of request that they felt that the parking would get used casually anyway in that regard because of its proximity to the Boys and Girls Club, and they're not opposed to that.
Okay. Would you like to say anything? Okay. Okay. Discussion from the commission. Any questions?
Does Dylan have a comment?
There is a new resolution in your packet, and basically the only change is that instead of requiring the $5,000 payment and the easement, it now just requires the $25,000 parking fee payment.
Okay.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we approved the easement and the parking
I'm
fees.
sorry, what?
Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we approved the easement and the parking variance fees in
You
our motion.
approved the easement and a $5,000 fee. They're instead paying the $25,000 fee.
Is that how it went?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. And the only other question I have to follow up is, was it our recommendation to ask for the easement, or did they provide the easement voluntarily?
They were requesting that in lieu of paying the whole 25 fee. So it wasn't initiated on our end, it was initiated on their end.
I have a question, Larry. How is that $25,000 determined? Is that just a flat fee? Is it based on?
The
how many
council,
parking-
the council has set the fee at $2,500 per parking space. At the time that that was set, that was probably the average cost of a parking space.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Otherwise, is anyone willing to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to make the adjustment to take the $25,000 and not the variant, or not the $5,000, and then,
The easement.
and
There.
not have an easement.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to take the full payment of $25,000 and no easement. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and jump back up to 3B. I'll call to order a public hearing to give consideration to a conditional use permit to integrate this parcel into an existing church campus to accommodate congregation growth at 900 Longview Drive, Lakes Area Vineyard Church. Larry.
Yes, Lakes Area Vineyard Church is considering the acquisition of the Medivan property, which is adjacent to their current church property at 900 Longview Drive, and that would be for future growth. Consideration should be given to the following findings. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed location is suitable for the use, and the use fits in with the character of the surrounding area. Based on these findings, staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit subject to the following condition. 1, that the church campus be enlarged to include the property at 900 Longview Drive. 2, that any future buildings meet all setback and parking requirements of the city's zoning ordinance. And 3, that the owner obtain any required land disturbance permit prior to the issuance of any building or zoning permit.
Okay. Would anyone like to comment?
All
right.
I have a question.
Well, let me close the public hearing. Now you can ask your question. Procedurally. Go ahead.
We close?
Yeah, we're good.
Are they hooked up to city sewer and water? You know, Larry?
At Medivan or the
Medivan.
church? I would have to check on that. I don't know that for sure.
I know they have a wellhead sticking up and a water line very near that. Looks like it comes from city services, but let's say if they're gonna go through with something like this, shouldn't they be required to hook up to city sewer and water?
Well, no, typically when you just do a transfer of property, that doesn't trigger
No,
that.
it doesn't trigger anything, but they're obviously asking for some,
I can check on that though and let you know.
Well, if they were gonna do any construction, they would have to, I
Then
would
they
assume.
would have to.
That would trigger the
Yes, that would
requirement.
absolutely trigger it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I have
Question?
so for clarification, these are two separate lots. Are they asking that they then would be one set, one lot? Or they still
Well,
stay as?
it wouldn't necessarily be a single tax lot, but it would be a single development lot.
Okay, well, in the terminology that you said, enlarging the campus. I didn't know if it had to do anything with the actual lots being.
The zoning would change from,
The zoning is R2, the zoning would not change. It would
It's a
stay.
conditional use permit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Medivan is a legal non-conforming use.
Is there any proposal? I mean, they're just wanting to buy the lot.
At this
There's no
time, there's no proposal.
For their building, we don't know.
There's no proposal for any construction at this time.
That tells me they had an opportunity to buy the land and it made sense.
exactly.
Right.
The potential expansion, I'm guessing.
Hey? Our church just did that with a couple of lots in the last few years too, so.
Well, I would move to approve the conditional use permit to allow them to purchase that following the findings as stated.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the conditional use permit following the staff recommendations and findings. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Dylan, it's sticking with me to talk about the findings. All right, let's go to 4A. Consideration to a resolution of the Planning Commission finding that a development program for municipal district, Development District Number 1 and a tax increment financing plan for Tax Increment Financing District Number 1-1 conforms to the general plans for the development and redevelopment of the city. All right, Larry, please explain that.
I'm going to turn this over to Hope Williams, our new economic development person.
Hope, some of these folks have not met you yet. Would you reintroduce yourself?
Yes, hi. It's nice to meet all you guys. I am Hope Williams. I'm the new Economic Development Director for the city here. I am on ending week 6. So still pretty new to the position, learning a lot, learning from Larry. It's been great so far. Coming in, we had the application for the Lincoln Apartments TIF. And with this transition, we're looking at establishing a municipal district number 1. So where there is a program within your guys' up on the screen, it wasn't included in your packet. With the municipal district, it is a set, it's the whole city limits would be the new district. As of right now, when a TIF comes to the city, it has been, 3-1, the next one's a 4-1, a 5-1. You're approving the district and the TIF plan both. Where going forward, we would approve the municipal district one time, and then it's just every project in there is its own, so you don't have to do it twice. This overall makes the process a lot easier. You only have to have one public hearing, which would be held at city council, and wouldn't have to come to planning commission for just the TIF plan anymore moving forward, so it would be taken off the planning commission's plate. If the project needed any planning or zoning changes, they would still come on that behalf. But overall, for the TIF plan, what you can see, it's I think it's a 14-page program. That wouldn't have to come to you guys anymore with the approval of this. So within the resolution that we're asking is that you find that the entire city then would qualify to have development and redevelopment depending on the project, and kind of leaving that piece up to the city council. And then within that, the TIF plan for the Lincoln School is, that would be 1-1. It is going to be redeveloping the vacant Lincoln School building into 36 market rate units. This is not going to be just for senior housing. This is, just general market rate housing, and will include underground parking and a pickleball court in the old gym of that school. With that project, with cost of overall cost of, acquisition and building costs. That's why they're coming forward needing the TIF for, overall financing of the package. Otherwise, it would not be doable. The current value of the property is 1.1 million with the estimated project cost of 7.5 million. With the increase of value is 3.6, and they're requesting assistance for almost 1 million. We do not have a development agreement in place quite yet. We don't have those projections quite done. But coming today, it's asking for the resolution for your approval that you're finding that both the municipal development district number 1 and the TIF plan for 1-1 conforms with city plans. If you have any questions on that.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, so why wasn't the development plan in our packet?
I did not have it in time.
Oh, Okay.
to get it and sent out with. I think you guys do 2 weeks before. We didn't have it in time where this is a fast-moving TIF. Usually it would be a little bit longer, but just with the want of starting, we, pushed it as fast as possible. And with that, we didn't have everything right in time for making the planning commission meeting. It is public knowledge though, and will go out with the development authority and city council. We didn't have it quite prepared yet.
Yeah, remind me, Larry, that project came to the planning commission. Was that for a conditional use permit?
That
It
was-
wasn't for a zoning.
That was for a zoning change.
It was a zoning change, okay.
Yep, it was rezoned to multifamily.
That's right.
Okay, so, we have a proposal on the plate to approve a single municipal development district encompassing the entire city, and then also, the tax incrementing the TIF district number 1-1 for the Lincoln School project. Questions, discussion from the commission, a motion?
The question I have is, so the resolution, the first part of the resolution is just developing the TIF district for the entire city, and then all of the TIF stuff would just happen within the city council, so the second half of this, of establishing TIF District 1.-1, is that necessary after we approve the first part of the TIF district?
Yes, because it hasn't gone all the way through city council at this point yet. So you guys have to do the resolution and the city council will have to do it after. And just in the case scenario, if they weren't to pass it or didn't go through after that public hearing, we'd have to come back again
Does it need to be two motions? Two,
to,
yeah, I'm seeing a nod, so. We'll go with we'll err on the side of caution here, and it would have to be two motions.
I'll make a motion to adopt the, what do you call it? Development
Municipal
District
Development
1.
District, yeah.
Yeah, the Development District 1, as described.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the establishment of Municipal Development District Number 1. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Who'd like to take a crack at the next one? Please, not everybody at once. Look, I'd do it, but I can't, so one of you has to step
Well,
up
I'll
here.
just keep going. I'll make a motion to improve the tax increment, the TIF, District 1-1, as described.
So-
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Tax Increment Financing District Number 1-1. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Well, we'll carry those forward.
thank you guys.
Great, thank you. I think that covers everything on the agenda except for, I'll give Liz her shot at variance and conditional use status.
I have nothing.
And nothing, okay. Then we'll go to Planning Commission training. Did we want to
Planning
review that?
Commission training. I hope that you all enjoyed the Planning Commission training that the League of Cities put out. I did send out a planning or zoning 101 report, which is basically summarizes what the training was all about. It talks about the pyramid of discretion. It talks about variances and why we have the different rules that we have. So the takeaway that I got from that is two things. One is the pyramid of discretion, where we can, when we're doing legislative work, we can have all kinds of discretion and all kinds of discussion and talk about a lot of different things that wouldn't be appropriate if we're reviewing a case of a variance request or a rezoning request. Those are quasi-judicial decisions, and we have to follow state law and our own ordinances when we do that. So I'd like to tell people that come in and request things that we're tied to the ordinances as they are, and we have to follow them, because sometimes they say, well, that's stupid, why do we have that rule? And Well, it's because the council thought it was appropriate and adopted it at some point in their history. And so I'm stuck with that too, and I have to follow that rule as much as they do, so.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
Can either you or Dylan, or maybe both, take a crack at just explaining the difference between the quasi judicial and the legislative roles that we play in these
Sure.
types of positions?
Well, the legislative role is the lawmaking role, where you're making the rules that people are going to have to follow. And as legislators, you can look at all kinds of different information and talk about different areas of importance of that resolution or that ordinance, and you can also advocate for different things. Whereas when you're doing the quasi-judicial or courtroom types of things, like a variance request or a rezoning, you have to listen to the evidence and apply that evidence to the existing rules and the state law. So you can't just, and you should not be advocating one way or another for a different, for a person's request, but you should just make your findings based on the evidence that they provide.
And I would just add that in your legislative function, when you're making decisions, you can make your decisions based upon evidence that might be construed by some people as not relevant, right? You know, you can make a rule because you don't like dogs, right? Whatever. But in the variance and the quasi-judicial, you know, just because you don't like dogs doesn't mean you can't approve a variance for a dog park, right? You have to have some reason why the dog park doesn't fit within the rules of the variance, right? It can't be just that you don't like dogs.
That's where we get into this importance of findings.
Right. And that is also kind of in the legislative, when we get down the road of getting courts involved, right? In the legislative process, the court's going to defer to you, right? You took in the evidence, you made a decision. They would like you to somewhat explain your decision, but you don't really need to explain it in detail. In a variance, you need to describe it in detail. You need to describe the findings, the reasons why the variance does or does not fit with the ordinance and things like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes. What questions do any of you have about that? Does it make sense, the difference between the two, and when we would use one versus another? This is a question I get a lot. Not from all of you, but from other people.
The one other important takeaway that I had from this training was regarding variances and defining practical difficulty. So if you look in the state law, there's a three-pronged test for that. Is it reasonable? Is it unique? And does it affect the essential character of the neighborhood? And then there's two other things that are included in that law, and that is variances shall only be permitted when they are in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance, and when the terms of the variance are consistent with the comprehensive plan. So there's the 5 things that we have on our application form. There's those 5 questions that all people have to answer for their variance. And if they can't answer those positively and provide us with some convincing evidence that they deserve the variance, we have grounds then for denying it, or we can't approve it unless they meet all of those 5-pronged tests. So did anybody else have a different takeaway from the training or different thoughts?
I'm going to be honest, I haven't taken the training yet.
Okay.
A couple months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
that was if you knew how to access your city email. If you needed training on your city email, it might have been a little delayed.
I will say in the past, you guys have provided really
If you
good
go on-
on-site.
If you go on the website, this is what you'll find, and it's really just in nice little bite-sized chunks, and it's pretty painless.
And is the course Are we still eligible to take it even though I haven't taken it? Okay,
It's free and always available.
You have to kind of resubmit for it, but yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
just as long as you go, it's there in your city email.
Okay.
Trying to think what it was called.
Oh, that's why, yeah.
Seismic learning,
Yep.
seismic learning, yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything from the commission? Not hearing anything there. Dylan?
Nope.
Hope?
Larry, did you want to give a little update on the small committee meeting?
Oh, sure.
Forgot
We
all about
did.
that.
Our zoning committee got together and we had a very nice meeting and talked about a lot of different things that we needed to address. I think we'll be scheduling another meeting in April, and we'll have a rough draft of a zoning ordinance and probably some information to discuss with regard to parking requirements. So that's where we're standing right now.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else, Larry?
Nothing else.
Jen, you're good? All right. I call us adjourned. I don't do that very often. It's kind of fun.
I don't think he has ever done it before.
I'm not sure I've ever seen you do it.